This was my first time playing Undertale. I didn't really know what to expect going in, but the longer I played, the more it pulled me in, not just with its story, but with the way it told it. The characters are all so unique and engaging, the world was strange and surreal, but full of meaning. I think what caught me off guard the most is how funny the game is. I laughed out loud several times during my playthrough. Every choice I made seemed to matter, and in more ways than just a dialogue tree. By the end, I wasn't just enjoying the experience, I was fully invested. The writing, the music, the combat system, the layers of narrative that slowly unfold, all of it came together in a way I could never have expected. It's not just a game that tells a story, it's a game that asks who you are while you're playing it. And now that I've finished it, I understand why it's meant so much to so many people. With all that being said, let's get into my first time playing Undertale. Long ago, two races ruled the world over humans and monsters. One day, war broke out between the two races. Okay. This music, though. After a long battle, the humans were victorious. They sealed the monsters underground with a magic spell. Many years later, I'm excited to hear the rest of the music in this game. Mount Ebott, 2001X. Legends say that those who climb the mountain never return. Okay, interesting. Humans and monsters. Oh. Hey, little buddy. Flowey the flower. Not long after gaining control of my character, the game introduced me to a cute little talking flower named Flowey, who starts teaching you about the game, how your soul and levels and all that work, and it seemed like it was going great. Soul starts off. LV is love, okay. Sure. Love is shared through... friend... And then this happened. Oh, wow. And called me an idiot. That's crazy. He then proceeds to try to kill me, and right before he succeeds, we're saved by the caretaker of the ruins, Toriel, who I, despite having literally been tricked a few seconds ago, warmed up to immediately. All right, I think we like Toriel. I think I'm a fan of Toriel. I mean, I just got tricked, so I'm, you know, I guess I'm a little skeptical, but... Toriel proceeds to actually start teaching me about the game, guiding me through a little tutorial of how to navigate through the game and what to expect as I do. Everything about the way you meet Toriel is done so well because I very quickly decided I was going to trust her implicitly. Oh, she's sweet. We like Toriel. I think we're going to just trust Toriel. We reach a training dummy where she explains to me that when I get into a fight, I should look to strike up a friendly conversation and stall for time, as though I should strive not to actually kill anything. So when I enter the fight with the dummy, I do as she said, and it happened like she said it would. Yeah? This was my first glimpse into the idea that I might be able to play this game without killing anything, and for someone who's really struggling to figure out a way to deal with this ant problem without having to kill any of the ants, it's right up my alley. I obviously didn't know either way yet, and the concept of an RPG with a combat system having a path where you don't actually fight anything seemed a little out there, but these were just all the things going through my mind at this point. I figured I'd give it a go, and at some point I'd probably start running into actually hostile enemies that I'd have to fight. Not long after, I got my first opportunity to test all this out, as I was attacked by a frogget. Okay, so you said when I get into a fight, strike up a conversation. I gave it a compliment it didn't understand but got the gist of, which tickled me pretty good, and sure enough, the fight ended without me having to attack. After Toriel's first test, which was just walking across a longer than average room without her. Why forgive you for this? I hit my first point where I really started to think about what I was in for. I'd only been playing for about 10 minutes, but the game was already in my head. Toriel said she had to go do some things and asks me to wait here, and I spent longer than I'd care to admit wondering if I was actually supposed to just wait here, or if I was supposed to progress. Maybe both were viable options? Okay, wait. So, am I supposed to stay here? If I don't listen to her now, is it going to affect something later? Is that even a thing in this game? Will she be sad if I keep going? Am I missing out on something by not going? Maybe she's in trouble up ahead and I'm supposed to go. This seems like a game where it's like, follow the instructions. She said stay here for a while. How long would a while be? By here, do you mean in this spot? I did. So then, I had no idea, but I decided to just sit for a few minutes and see if anything happened. Okay, I guess I'm supposed to go. So we're gonna go. In the next area, there's another frog, and it confirms what I was already sort of figuring out about the combat system. It seems as though my suspicions were correct, and that I can work my way through this game, or at the very least this area, without killing anything. So I officially decide that's the plan. I'm gonna do my best to not kill anything. I eventually encounter a new enemy, a Whimsum, and this is when I started to understand that different enemies are going to have different options in the act menu. I approached meekly, so it seemed like each enemy type would be their own little puzzle of sorts to figure out how to get the fight to a point where I could spare them. Also, I meant to go back and see what was through that door by the frog, and I'm now realizing I forgot, and that pisses me off a little bit. Oh. Okay. Let's go with butterscotch, I reckon. So what if I just do mercy? I did realize after this fight I wasn't gaining any EXP, which seemed a little concerning, but also seemed like something that might work itself out later, so I didn't sweat it too much. I make my way through until I reach a point where it seems like no matter where I step, the floor is gonna break. Wait. How do I know which... I get a few steps in, and sure enough, I fall through to a room with a path carved through some leaves. Oh, that's the pattern. It doesn't take long to realize it's the path I'm supposed to walk above, and I think that's a real credit to the game design. This tutorial is laid out so well, and the times it chooses to explain itself or not explain itself really puts the player in a good position to be aware enough to figure things out themselves without the game just giving them every answer immediately. Soon after, I enter a room with 3 rocks. The rock on the bottom is alive and has a little spunk to it. My interactions with it gave me a pretty good chuckle. Okay. I entered a fight with 3 enemies for the first time, and I hadn't figured out yet that when spare was yellow, it meant it would work on something, so I just ended up fleeing. After the save point, I find a sleeping ghost blocking my path. I was hesitant to engage with it because the option was move it with force, which sounded hostile to me. So I was trying to avoid that, but it seemed like my only option, so I eventually caved. Napstablook really made me think about the system and explore my options a little bit. Oh, jeez. Do I repeat options? Is there a pattern? I didn't know exactly how to reliably reach a point where I could end the fight without violence just yet. Okay. Do I keep doing the same thing, or... I don't guess I understand. But I ended up figuring it out. Alright, let's go look. After giggling at the sign about spider food, I decided to go support their small business. I was a little short on gold though, so I'd have to sort that out. I don't think I have enough. but not before talking to the frogs and learning a little more about the game. The most important thing being that once a monster's name is yellow, I can spare it. So now, even though I wasn't exactly sure how to reach that point with everything, I at least knew how to interpret when I had achieved it. I then immediately proceed to engage in combat with the Lukes for way longer than was necessary because I somehow wasn't clocking that its name had turned yellow, but we figured it out. Okay. Do I keep doing the same thing? Oh, shit. Oh, okay. That's okay. All right. My bad. In the next room, I found the first puzzle that actually took a little time to solve, but not because it was complicated. You just have to fall through spots in the ground into rooms below to find the switch for the spikes, but there also seemed to be some interesting stuff to see in the other rooms, so I did that too. The ghost is down there in the middle, though. I went back to buy a donut and a jug from the spiders, came back and explored all the rooms in the puzzle, and then there's something in the top left. Yeah, there you go. Oh, and bottom. Okay. Got another good giggle at Vegetoid. And continue my way through the early stages of the game, solving puzzles and avoiding killing things at all costs, until finally making my way back to Toriel. I briefly slip back out and explore the other hallway where I find a toy dagger on a balcony, and then head back into Toriel's home to make a dumb joke. Surprise, I farted. I'll try not to keep going on and on about this, but I have to say again just how impressed I am with the writing and pacing and overall design choices made with this game. Toriel is not in this game for very long in the grand scheme of things, and somehow in such a small amount of time the developer managed to really make me feel attached to her. She's such a warm, kind character, and as someone that loves to let myself get as immersed as I can in anything I play, I really felt the weight of the decisions I was making and really wanted to make sure I did right by her. I didn't even read her diary when I was given the opportunity because I didn't want to find myself in a scene later where I'd have to answer for betraying her trust or something. No, I won't do that. I understand that might sound a little goofy, and it probably is, but it really makes me appreciate the telling of the story here. Anyway, she shows me to my room where I accidentally go to bed sooner than I wanted to and wake up to find a piece of cinnamon butterscotch pie in my room. I continue to explore the house, not reading Toriel's diary as I just mentioned, and eventually make my way into the living room to find Toriel sitting by the fire and reading a book. I snooped around a while longer and soon found myself downstairs where the mood suddenly shifts aggressively and Toriel comes and stops me from going any further. Okay. What if I do it again? I decided to try to go down again and noticed she said something different this time. She said something different that time, though. So I wanted to test it out and see if eventually I'd just be able to go or if anything would change significantly. She's saying something different every time. It makes me think I should keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it until I get a repeated voice line. Or, whatever. Ultimately, it seemed like I just hit the end of her dialogue options and it didn't appear that I was going to be able to go that way, so I gave it up. I finally asked how to exit the ruins, which led us downstairs and heading through the hallway that moments earlier was off limits, and to my extreme dismay, end up in combat with Toriel. Oh, okay. Wait, so then what am I supposed to do? This is such an interesting moment in the game because even though I ultimately have control over the pace of everything, it feels like everything is happening so fast. I feel like the game's been teaching me this whole time to not attack. All of a sudden, I'm in combat with the character that I trust the most by far. I've tried to talk multiple times and it's telling me that isn't going to work. Okay, fair enough. Ugh. Oh god. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. And she is very quickly killing me. What do I do? and it didn't seem like I had any more options. I had to start attacking her. How the... I'd hoped that at a certain point something would change. I'd get new options, her name would turn yellow, something would interrupt the fight, anything. Anything other than me having to keep attacking her. Once I got to a point where one hit would kill me, it got incredibly easy to avoid taking any more damage. This was obviously Toriel not wanting to kill me. I mean, if she keeps doing that, I'm good. I didn't know what else to do, so I just kept hitting her, and sure enough, I don't want to kill Toriel. I don't want to kill Toriel. I end up killing her. I was genuinely bothered about this. I just sat in silence for a few moments. I tried to call her, but of course no answer. If this wasn't bad enough, in the next room I find that little piece of shit Flowey. Oh, fuck. He said something I thought was very interesting and confused by. He said, "I hope you liked your choice." What do you mean you hope I like my choice? What other choice did I have? I'm guessing I was wrong and that I missed something, and I actually didn't have to kill Toriel, but it's too late now. As he said, it's not like I can go back and change it. Why did it make me kill her, dude? I leave and finally hit the title screen. What an incredible introduction to a game. Oh, okay. Despite the broken heart, I'm very excited to proceed. There's a camera hidden in the bushes. Weird. It's a very ominous scene as I walk along what looks like a path in a snowy forest. It's very unsettling and I keep thinking I hear someone else shuffling along. That's cool, that's a good... What the hell? Turns out there was someone following me as I'm stopped by a shadowy figure. It approaches slowly, vaguely threatening, and demands I shake its hand. What? Oh. Meet Sans, one of the funniest characters in any RPG I've ever played. He explains that he's supposed to be on the lookout for humans, but that he doesn't really have any interest in capturing anyone, but that his brother, Papyrus, is a different story. We're about to meet him as well. That's dumb. That's real dumb. Papyrus is very loud and vigilant. He desperately wants to be a part of the Royal Guard, so everything he says and does seems to revolve around getting the respect and recognition to make that a reality. But he will indulge in a little humor of his own from time to time. In the next area, I find the first save point in a video game that's ever made me laugh, and start to notice the trend with them. After checking out the unmanned fishing pole up north with a phone number I can't call on the hook, I head east to find Sans and Papyrus blocking my way. For some reason, rather than just capturing me right then and there, Papyrus gets really excited about the prospect of capturing me and warns me that if I continue on, I will be captured. Sans basically tells me not to worry about it, so I push on. Quick note here, I got into a fight with a snowdrake shortly after this, and it just tickled the piss out of me, man. This game is so funny. Whoa! Even right after, the sign on the little sentry station made me laugh. Maybe I was just in the right mood when I played, but I really thought this game was funny almost every time it tried to be. Next up, we have an encounter with Doggo that for some reason confused me. I don't know exactly what about it confused me looking back because it seems very obvious now, but I think I thought that the moving thing had to do with my actual character before the fight, and not my heart during the fight. It finally clicked, and after another good laugh when I pet him... That's good. It was time to keep going. Sans warns me about his brother's very special blue attack, basically reinforcing what I just learned in the Doggo fight. Anytime the thing that is attacking me is blue, just stay still and it won't hurt me. He explains it better than I could though, so I'll let him do it. That's so stupid, dude. That's good. Make my way to the next area that introduces another part of what I assume will be future puzzles, slippery ice with a sign in the middle. It's funny. The snowman up north asked me to take a piece of him very far from here, and I oblige. After the first of Papyrus's puzzles, I spend way too long trying to get the big snowball into the hole before it melts. After an amount of time I will not disclose, I finally do it. Collect the 1 gold for all my troubles. Make it through another of Papyrus's roadblocks. Giggle at another save point. And keep moving. We encountered what sort of felt like a mini-boss that was just a couple of dogs in this area. Maybe they weren't, but this fight took me a while to get through and I took a good bit of damage. It ended the same way any other fight with a dog did though, with me petting them. Next, we come across what is perhaps Papyrus's best puzzle yet. It's a lot of P's. Turn every X into an O and then press the switch. How do I do that though? Oh, okay. What follows is one of my favorite smaller moments in the game. From the way Papyrus is describing it to me, it sounds like this next puzzle is going to be really difficult. Jesus Christ. I think so. That's so stupid. That's so dumb, dude. Oh, shit. It's real stupid. I'm realizing again that there are several things I meant to do during my playthrough that I didn't go back and do. I went south here and saw sands, which made me think it was the way to go to progress the story. So I went back up and east to find myself in a bit of a boss battle. Okay. It looked playful. Okay. Ah, that's bullshit. After that was over, I started crossing a bridge and ended up in a cutscene with Sans and Papyrus. So now I don't know what was south. After the traps fail, and another warning from Sans about his brother's blue attacks, I make my way into the first town I've seen, Snowdin. Snowdin is a cute little town with very friendly residents, so I make my way around chatting with everyone I see. After a brief moment of hesitation, I decided to spend the night in the inn. Apparently, I wasn't up there as long as I thought I was, though. Oh, that's cute. Okay, thanks. As I make my way around Snowdin, talking with everyone and reading the books in the library, I start to see a little bit more of the big picture that the game has been showing me small pieces of as I make my way through. There's a lot more to the beings that live down here than just being the monsters. They're not just the other half of the humans versus monsters trope. They have a rich history and deep, meaningful lives, and they're no less enlightened or deserving of respect and love than humans. Yet another example of how well written Undertale is and how much thought went into all the little details. I eventually make my way east of town, and it's finally time to fight Papyrus. It's a really long fight with a lot of different mechanics, and thankfully we've been thoroughly warned and prepared for his special blue attack. Could I have not attacked Toriel? I decided to just flirt with him a bunch because I thought that was kind of silly, and he eventually spared me. I tell him I'd like to be friends, there's some talk of a date in the future, and I make my way into the cave up ahead to find a save point, the other kid in the striped shirt, and my first echo flower. After a quick chat, I agree to take Sans up on his offer to accompany him to Grillby's. I decide to go with the burger because obviously I will always choose a burger when given the choice. He asks what I think of his brother, and I unironically tell him I think he's cool. To which he agrees. He gives a little more insight into just how determined Papyrus is to become part of the Royal Guard, and also tells me about a flower that keeps appearing to give his brother positive affirmations of sorts. And to be on the lookout for that. We continue to talk over our meal, and he asks me at the end if I can pick up the tab, to which I say no because it said it cost 10,000 gold, which I obviously didn't have. Turns out he was joking anyway, and I wished I'd said yes to see what would have happened. Damn, I should have said yes. I head out and back east to find Papyrus waiting for me to arrive for our date outside of his house. We head inside, and I explore the house a bit, getting a few good laughs here and there. And eventually end up officially in the date. I accidentally answered yes to a question while trying to just advance the dialogue that I probably would have actually answered no to, which was a bit of a bummer, but I decided to just roll with it. Oh shit, I didn't know it asked me a question. The date continues on until he eventually tells me it won't proceed any further unless I find his secret. the secret? I don't know if I just got lucky or if it would have worked no matter what I chose, but I found it on my first try and kept things moving. Oh, wow, the first thing? The date finally ends and he confesses that he doesn't have feelings for me, which is probably the best outcome considering I'm a child. So we agree to be friends and I continue on my quest to find Asgore. Not long after, I'm shown Undyne keeping an eye on me and Papyrus shows up to seemingly sell me out. This was a bit disappointing considering we just established ourselves as friends, so I thought there must be more to it than it seemed right now. I save. And move on to the next area to participate in one of the more interesting puzzles I'd encountered up to this point. I decided to check out the sign that would require me to use the bridge seats to reach. This sounds gonna be some bullshit. And even though I kind of knew it wasn't gonna be anything important, it still didn't disappoint. This puzzle actually took me a little bit to solve, which I enjoyed, and upon crossing the water, I got a call from Papyrus. I did not catch on to what was actually going on here, as I don't think I had processed fully how many times the game had mentioned what I had equipped. So I just decided to trust him and be honest with him. I'm gonna trust him. Looking back now, it seems like he was trying to warn me to either remove the bandana or lie to him about whether or not I was wearing it, which I assume would have prevented what would happen to me in the near future. I carry on exploring the caves, checking in with each echo flower, discovering new monsters to spare, and eventually look through the telescope to find a hidden message telling me to check the wall. Is something written on the telescope? Check wall. After a few seconds, I find and check the wall in question, which opens a door, and I continue on. I read a series of signs that explain the power of humans and that it would take the soul of nearly every monster to equal the power of just one human soul, but that if a monster were to somehow defeat a human, it would take its soul and become a, quote, horrible beast with unfathomable power. I didn't really know what to do with this information just yet, so I stepped onto the little wooden platform that carried me across the abyss, into the next area where I presumed taking off that bandana we talked about earlier would have saved me the nightmare I was about to endure. I narrowly escaped the wrath of Undyne, and then annoyingly checked the mouse hole before I checked the echo flower so I don't get to know what it would have said. I should have talked to the flower before I squeaked. I knew it. Not one for a reload on first playthroughs, however, I saved and moved on. Sans let me use his telescope for free, through which I can see nothing but red apparently, but he offers me a refund, so I guess it's fine. I'm only noticing this during the editing of this video, but it looks like the telescope left a red ring around my eye. It'll be interesting to see if that ever comes up again, and I just didn't understand it because I never noticed it while playing. I explore for a while, checking all the echo flowers, meeting and chatting with Onion-san, until stumbling upon a room with a piano that is clearly part of a puzzle for me to figure out. I spend a while trying to solve it, finally deciding that the answer must be elsewhere, so I continue on. Not long after, I find a statue with a leak above it, followed by some umbrellas, so I grab one and give it to the statue, and sure enough, it reveals the sequence to be played on the piano. Oh. It led to a room with a legendary artifact, and when I tried to pick it up, I was told I was carrying too many dogs. I had no idea what that meant, so I checked my inventory and had an item called Annoying Dog. I don't know where I got it, but I decided to use it, which deploys a dog that picks up the legendary artifact and leaves with it. I guess that's the annoying part? What the fuck? Wait. As far as I know, this never comes up again, so I have no idea what this was about or what I missed out on. Confused as hell, I decided to just keep moving forward, so I grab another umbrella from the bin just in case and keep moving. The other kid in the striped shirt decides to tag along. We walk as the kid continues to swoon over Undyne until finally helping me up a ledge and parting ways. Soon after, we're subjected to another round of attempted murder by Undyne until eventually reaching the end of the maze and thinking it was over until Undyne shows up. And destroys the ground I was standing on. Someone apparently saves me, but I don't know who yet. I make my way through the piles of garbage until finally seeing a training dummy, and when asked if I wanted to beat it up, I thought of Toriel for the first time and what I realized was a long time, and decided not to. Turns out that may have been a mistake because this dummy is alive and mad, apparently. Oh shit. I keep trying to talk to it, but it's not having it. I then try initiating attacks but not finishing them to avoid doing any damage, and that isn't doing it either. Eventually, the dummy starts sending homing missiles at me, which I can redirect back at it if I time it right, so I go with that method. This seems to get me where I want to be as Napstablook shows up and runs the dummy off. Not long after, I make it to his home and check everything out, listening to the music, trying to have a bite to eat, and having a quick lie down. I explore a little bit more, blow some money on the snail races. And soon meet Gerson, who explains to me that the Deltarune is the emblem of the kingdom of monsters, but that the original meaning has been lost to time. Some speculate it points to a prophecy of an angel who has seen the surface that will descend from above to bring the monsters freedom, while others think the prophecy is a bit more grim, with the angel in question being the angel of death, coming to free them through more sinister means. I soon after find myself in a maze of sorts, navigating my way through the glowing paths to mushrooms that, when activated, light up more paths. I accidentally take one step too many at one corner of a path and sort of step off a little further than I should be able to, but it takes me a second to process it. I backtrack to check it out, and sure enough, there's a hidden path that I can walk on. So I of course follow it and find the Timmies. The Timmies are very cute, goofy little things that give me several good giggles. I chat with the Timmy in the shop a bit to try to get a little more info about them, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I wish I had the 1K gold to purchase the pay for college option in their shop. I'd love to see if that would have any sort of impact on anything, but alas, I did not. So feeling like I'd done everything there was to do here, I headed out. Pretty cute little random surprise though, I'm glad I found it. After another bit of exploring and navigating my way through the lit paths, I find myself cornered by Undyne yet again. Our little friend in the striped shirt jumps out and interrupts, which keeps her occupied long enough for me to get out of there, so I do. Right around the time I thought I might be free, however, I'm stopped again by the kid in the striped shirt and told that Undyne has told them I'm a human and to stay away from me. The problem is that the kid doesn't hate me or view me as an enemy, so they ask me to say something mean to make it easier to hate me, to which I refuse. The kid then almost falls, and Undyne arrives just in time to see me save them. I thought perhaps this would give Undyne something to think about, and perhaps I'd be spared a fight with her, but I would very soon find out that would not be the case. This is such an insane battle. I spent 10 minutes the first time I fought her trying to stay alive and figure out how to navigate this fight without killing her. Until eventually dying for the first time. After another pretty long fight, in a moment of desperation, I try to run from her, and it actually works. It kind of caught me off guard a bit. I didn't really know what to do with myself, so I just started running. She chased me down and we entered combat again, so I ran again since it's the only thing that worked. I repeat this a few times until making my way to Sans, thinking surely he'd get me out of this, but he was fast asleep. I finally reach a point where Undyne is too exhausted to keep chasing me and she collapses on a bridge in an area with a very conveniently placed water cooler. I give her some water. She gets up and just leaves. No words are spoken. I try to follow, but she's nowhere to be found, so I decided to just keep moving forward. The guards are blocking the elevators to the north, so after discovering the Riverman or Riverwoman to the south that is apparently our fast travel system, I head back up and east into the building marked Lab. I walk into a very dark room with a screen of a live feed of me, which is a little confusing until I remember the camera in the bushes earlier. It's here we meet Dr. Alphys, Asgore's neurotic little royal scientist, but she does her best to assure me that she's on my side. Dr. Alphys explains to me that she made a robot named Mettaton that was originally intended to just be an entertainment star, but now has a thirst for human blood, so that's exciting. Not long after, Mettaton shows up and I find myself in a trivia game show. We do okay until this question. And then it's pretty much downhill from here. After Mettaton exposes Dr. Alphys for having a crush on me, I make it out of the battle with 1 HP left. I then get an upgrade to my phone so I can now text, or more importantly, receive texts. And after a little snooping around the lab and reading some of the historically accurate human history books upstairs, I head east out of the lab, where I'm getting notifications from Alphys every few steps, which is great. I'm loving that. I find myself in a battle with a Vulcan who mistakenly believes its lava heals people, which unfortunately for me is not true because I forgot to heal and still have 1 HP. Oh fuck, I'm gonna die. Thankfully, I grabbed some instant noodles from the fridge, so I'll just very quickly pop those and... Get 4 HP, I guess. Oh my fucking god. I make it out alive and have one of the biggest revelations of my entire experience. This is Undertale music? This is Undertale music? I had no idea this music was from Undertale. Holy shit, I didn't know that. I save. And then get into my first battle with a Sunder plane, and the whole damn fight just tickled the hell out of me. I explore the Hotlands for a while, solving all the puzzles and trudging through the notifications from Alphys every few steps. until eventually wandering into a big kitchen that ends up just being another trap for Mettaton. And I'm yet again on a show, this time a cooking show. Apparently the secret ingredient for the cake is a human soul.
Oh, shit.
So Mettaton starts closing in on me with a chainsaw. But we're saved again when Dr. Alphys suggests a different, non-human ingredient for the cake, sort of. I end up in a pretty intense mini-game that I barely scraped by on. Only to find out the cake had been baked in advance anyway. With all that chaos behind me, I continue on. Stepping off the elevator, I meet Heat's Flamesman, and he tells me to remember his name. I make very sure I specifically remember his name. Surely this would come up later, right? In the very next area, I see my old friend Sans, apparently selling hot dogs now. Sorry, dogs. Apostrophe dogs. It's short for hot dogs. After a little exploration, I find a stained apron, which seems like a solid upgrade from my current gear, so I throw it on and keep moving. This puzzle might have been my favorite puzzle in the entire game. This one was actually pretty challenging for me and took me quite a bit to figure out. But in a way that I enjoyed and was fun. It was nice to have a puzzle actually require some time to figure out. After a while, I do finally get through it, get my usual chuckle from a save point, and press on. I get accosted by a couple of royal guards who, after a pretty long battle, I convinced to fall in love with each other, I think. Not long after, I find myself in a pitch black room with no clue what to do. Dr. Alphys gets the lights turned on, and I'm apparently caught up in another one of Mettaton's shenanigans. This time, it's a news broadcast where I have to wander around with a much smaller field of view and interact with a variety of different objects. One of them is a present that ends up being a bomb, which triggers the beginning of a particularly intense game where I have to find and disarm a bunch of bombs scattered around in less than 2 minutes. I legit thought I wasn't going to get this done, but I managed to defuse the last bomb with 9 seconds left on the clock. There's one last big bomb that Mettaton tries to set off, but yet again, Dr. Alphys came in clutch and saved the day. Where would we be without Dr. Alphys? Here, I met one of the spiders I assume we supported back at the beginning of the game by purchasing a couple of items from them. I'd have been happy to buy a little more, but the prices were a little more steep this time, to say the least, so I decided to pass. I found myself in a new puzzle that was similar to my favorite one, but this time not quite as hard to navigate, and there were also some additional puzzles attached to it to solve. It takes a while, but I work my way through the mazes and puzzles and obstacles to eventually find myself entering what is clearly the spider area. Apparently, Muffet took offense to the fact that I didn't buy any pastries earlier, so now she wants to kill me. That's valid, I guess. This was a pretty unique encounter. I saw several things in this battle with her that I hadn't seen prior. It was honestly a lot of fun, even though it was also one of the harder battles I'd encountered up to this point. After a very long fight that I barely made it through, a little spider brings her a note that seems to clear up the confusion. She was under the impression that I hated spiders, but I'm guessing buying the couple of items I did from them early in the game saved me here. She apologizes and lets me go, to which I quickly oblige, and before I can even fully exhale, find myself in yet another of Mettaton's ridiculous encounters. After the performance of a lifetime, I'm dropped into the dungeon, and am forced to try to work my way through the puzzle that Papyrus was trying to set for me at the beginning of this journey. This time, however, the puzzle was a success because I definitely did not remember the details. I don't even know if this would have been possible, but I am curious. Either way, I'm now fighting Mettaton, although it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be because Dr. Alphys comes in yet again with the save. After the fight, we get a really heartwarming moment with Dr. Alphys where she says that she used to feel really negatively about herself, but helping me on my journey has really given her a sense of purpose and helped her feel differently. It's nice. I see Heat's Flamesman once again, talk to him, he asks if I remember his name. I say yes, and he just takes my word for it. I actually made it a point to occasionally remind myself specifically what his name was because I was certain it was going to come up again. And I guess technically it did. Anyway, that's that. I make my way to the MTT resort, but before speaking with Sans or heading inside, I go check out the little alleyway over to the side and see what that's all about. Turns out it's a shop run by Bratty and Caddy. We talk for a really long time, and I get a little lore on Dr. Alphys and Mettaton and some other random things. But the most interesting thing about my encounter with these two is the mystery key they were selling. I was barely short on gold for it and had every intention of making my way back here later to see what the deal was with that key. But I got so caught up in the story later on that I forgot. I meet up with Sans and we head inside to chat for a bit. He suggests the idea of staying, since I sort of have everything I need down here anyway, and if it was up to me, I'd have taken him up on it right then and there. He then proceeds to tell me a story about Toriel. How they'd tell each other silly jokes through the door I came out of initially, and that one day she asked him that if a human were to ever come through that door to protect them, aka me. Sans is a really cool character, and this is a really cool part of the game. It was nice to hear a story about Toriel so late in my playthrough, and all in all it was just another good bonding experience with Sans. Good stuff. I wander around chatting with the rest of the monsters in the room and eventually end up in the lobby of the MTT resort. I stop by the burger restaurant to see what's up and figure I'll try to sell a few items, but instead get a really good laugh. After a little more wandering around, I head up to the north exit to see two shadowy figures at the end of a little walkway. It wouldn't take long to find out who these guys were, as I'd very soon end up in a battle with them. Another pretty interesting, albeit relatively easy fight. I get through it without too much issue, head back and save, and then keep going. I'd noticed a bit of a trend where Dr. Alphys' advice tended to be ill-timed or just wrong, so when I hit a crossroads and she suggested I go right, I went up, and it turns out I should have listened this time because there were two shadowy figures waiting for me up there. Thankfully, it was pretty easy. I just sang him to sleep in 3 turns and kept trucking. I explored the next area for a really long time, fighting enemies, solving puzzles, being lost, trying to figure out where the hell I'm supposed to go, until eventually figuring it out and making my way to what seems to be the door to the elevator to the king's castle. So I must be getting close to the end. I hit the save point and head inside. Inside, I find Mettaton, who tells me that Alphys has basically been playing me this whole time and that it's actually the other way around and that Mettaton has no desire to harm humans, but simply to entertain. Then immediately attacks me, so there's that. The first phase of this fight's pretty easy, but holy cow, phase 2 is so much harder than anything else in this game I encountered. I had such a hard time figuring this one out, particularly the legs. What the fuck am I supposed to do there? I mean, I really struggled here. This took me over 30 minutes to beat and had me legitimately raging. Why the fuck did he make this so hard? This is so much harder than the rest of the game, dude. What in the actual fuck? I did finally get through it though and meet back up with Dr. Alphys as I head toward Asgore. Right before I get on the elevator, Dr. Alphys confesses that she lied to me and that a human soul by itself isn't actually strong enough to cross the barrier, and that it takes at least a human soul and a monster soul. So I'll have to kill Asgore to leave. I soon find myself back in Toriel's house, but it's sort of grayed out now. As I explore, I get into encounters with different monsters that tell me the story of a human that fell down into the ruins, and that Asriel, the king's son, brought the injured human back to the castle. Over time, the human basically became part of the family, being treated as one of the king and queen's own children and getting very close with Asriel. One day, the human became very ill and asked to see flowers from their village. I guess there was no way to make that happen, unfortunately, and the next day, the human died. Asriel absorbed the human soul and transformed into an incredible being. He tried to return the human to their village, but the villagers saw Asriel holding the human's dead body and thought he killed the child. They attacked Asriel with everything they had, but he wouldn't fight back. Wounded, he made it back home just in time to stumble into the garden and also die. The king and queen were heartbroken, losing 2 children in one night. The whole realm was pretty shaken, understandably so. The humans had taken everything from them again. They decided that from now on, any human that falls down into the ruins must die, with the goal of collecting enough souls to shatter the barrier forever. I just love the way this story is told, involving all the monsters you've randomly encountered throughout the game. It really gives life to everything down here, not just the NPCs you encounter in towns or the more significant enemies you've had to deal with. Telling the whole story in this way really emphasizes the importance of every single being down here, and I just love it. I think it's a great story, I love the way it's told, I'm just honestly in love with the game. I enter the final room and run into my old friend Sans. He explains that I'm about to meet the king and that together we'll decide the fate of this world, but first I'll be judged for every action I've taken. It's here I learn that EXP actually stands for execution points and that love actually stands for level of violence, and that these are basically a measure of how much pain I've inflicted to this world since I've been here. I was expecting something a little more quantifiable here, but the game sort of puts you in the position to reflect on what you've done, as though it's making you judge yourself. I sit for a moment feeling pretty good about everything I've done except Toriel, and wishing I'd understood more about the game and what was going on at the time so I could have figured out an alternative to killing her. I try calling her phone one last time before going through the door. No answer. I finally make it to the entrance to the throne room. But curious about where the path leads, I follow it and find a room with some coffins in it. I can only inspect the first one, which is engraved with my name. I don't know if I fully understand what this is. I assume it's preparation for the fact that I'm expected to be killed shortly, though. I head back to the save point one last time and enter the throne room. Inside, I finally meet Asgore, and much like Toriel, I like him immediately. He seems about as happy as I am about why I'm here and tells me that when I'm ready to come into the next room. I continue to follow him until we find ourselves at the barrier, and just like that, we're in combat. I don't wanna kill. I am adamant this time that I'm not gonna kill. I'm not going to. As I don't want to have another Toriel incident on my conscience. Immediately after I make that decision, however, he destroys the mercy option in my UI. I try talking, but there's nothing to say. I try initiating attacks without finishing them. After a few rounds, I just let him kill me, thinking maybe that would trigger something. It doesn't. The second fight, I try hitting him a few times, hoping maybe something would change. Nothing. I die again. I start realizing that I'm going to have to just fight him, but I'm still struggling with that because that's how I felt with Toriel, and I'm fairly certain by now there was a way for me to have avoided it with her. So what if I'm making the same mistake again? Late into the third fight, my HP very low, I finally decide to eat the pie that Toriel made me in the beginning of the game. I hadn't used it yet because it had sentimental value to me, but I figured I'm at the end of the game now, so I might as well use everything I have. The smell of the pie reminds Asgore of Toriel and softens him a bit, lowering his attack and defense. That is such a cool thing to have in the game, and very useful to know moving forward, as this is probably going to take me a few tries. It does, but finally, after a few tries and one very long, difficult fight, I land the final hit. Asgore tells me that he's just tired and that he never wanted the power to hurt anyone. He just wanted everyone to have hope, but now he's just tired. He wants to go be with his wife and child. It's heartbreaking. He basically asked me to kill him so that he can go be with his family. I don't want to, but I don't want to be selfish either. I don't know what to do. I sat for almost 5 minutes thinking about what to do here. I decide to stick with my original decision and not kill anyone that I don't absolutely have to, or at least think I have to. I decide to stay. He seems excited by the idea, says that he and his wife will take care of me, that we'll be a family. And then Flowey kills him. This motherfucker. Wow. And that was it. That's it? That's how the game ends? What the hell? That's how the game ends? My first time playing Undertale had come to an end. I don't even know what to say. Undertale was genuinely one of the most incredible games I've ever played. It's been a really long time since I've had an experience like this with a video game. These days, it's much harder for me to get deeply invested in games the way I could when I was younger and didn't have 1,000 different things to choose from in any given second. This game is just brilliant, and I'm so glad I finally took the time to play it. This experience has taught me that even now, in my old age, as crazy and fast as everything is, with the endless barrage of things fighting for my attention at all times, if I'll just slow it down and allow myself to get fully invested in something for a little while, it could end up being one of the more memorable experiences in my life. I think I'll remember how this game made me feel for a long time. I'm excited to go back and play it again and try to see a bunch of the things I missed, maybe figure out how to not kill Toriel this time, and see what else the game has in store that I didn't get to experience in my first time playing. If you're still here, I really appreciate you going on this journey with me. I hope it was fun to see someone experience this for the first time in 2025, and I hope I told my own story as well as I experienced it. I'd love to hear about your first experience with Undertale in the comments. Genuinely, I'll read them all. Be sure and click the subscribe button to be filled with determination. Thank you again for watching. Bye.